Are you ready to do roll call?
Ms. Douglas? Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Ms. Hedlund?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson? Ms. Bukowski? Mr. Morrison?
Here.
Mr. Patterson?
Here.
Ms. Salmon?
Here.
Ms. Waller?
Here.
Ms. Douglas just arrived.
Ah. That's right. Okay. We have one change to the agenda. Ann McLaughlin is going to go first in the grant presentations. Okay, and then next we need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Did anybody have any changes or corrections? Okay, are we all, okay, approve the minutes? All say aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right, I don't believe we have public input, so we're going ahead with grant presentations. And so Ann McLaughlin will be the first one.
Just a second while it loads. Well, my project was Scheherazade, which is a multimedia solo harp show that involves singing, harp playing, percussion, all done with theatrical effects, and it was a melding of classical Western music and music from the Middle East. And I have here several pictures and concepts from the show to just show you what the finished product looked like. It was performed, let's see, it was performed 3 times in the Champaign-Urbana area. It was premiered at Parkland College because Parkland College was actually where all the animators who did the project with me were studying. But I performed a preview show at CoLab for Sweet Corn Festival that was free and open to the public, and did a performance as well at Spurlock Museum. And that was also free and open to the public, and did that in collaboration with Kim Sheehan, who is their in-residence storyteller. And that one had our most multicultural group of people that came through, actually a group of Iranians who were studying here. We're very excited to hear the kind of Western version of Scheherazade's tales. And I also performed it at the Union, and I know Barbara Hedlund made that performance as well. And storytelling was a universal language, and that was what I used to tie together concepts of the show of the different cultures and music. And these are the list of all the performances to date that have happened at the show. Most in this area. I also did some guest performing in Texas and in South Dakota. And then this is, I wanted to show from the premiere, we had a really large screen, and just kind of an idea of what the show looked like. And then I have a video of, and this is about 3 minutes long, so I'll maybe just play a little bit of it for you, but this is just an idea of what the live show looks like. I apologize, the audio isn't fantastic quality. Let's see. I can pull this up on my Google Drive too. Do you have anything on your video playing that's unusual on here? Okay, that might be the problem. Just a second. It's okay. Let me pull up my Google Drive, and I can see. I should have a clip of something on there from the show if you just want to see that. Sorry. Okay. Let's do this one. Calendar parts. No, it's just audio. Never mind. Here. This might not play either, depending on. This is just the visuals, but I'm sorry that my audio wouldn't play. This is all timed with the music. But I can send you a link if you guys would be curious to see how it looks. I could do that, yeah. Okay. Let me see if I have any other one on here with audio. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, I'll just send you the link. I apologize for that. Any questions about the project? Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
I actually also got a chance to see your performance at CoLab. It was really good.
Oh. Thank you. Yeah, I'm in the process of getting ready to tour it for, it'd be about 1.5 years from now when it'd be going on the road.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm in the process of working on getting management for the show. So,
Great.
yeah.
Very good.
And it'll be performed in Utah this summer at the National Harp Convention.
Oh,
So,
all right. Well, thanks very much.
In the summer harp camp?
yes, I'll be doing a shortened version of the harp camp as well.
Yeah.
I
Figured it might be a
yeah.
time. Maybe you'll let us know when that happens.
Yes, that's July 13th, or no, June 13th. Yes, but I can email you the date as well for that with the video clip. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next grant presentation will be by Joe Madden from CUSO.
Let's see. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Let me go ahead and find my PowerPoint, which I've been told is on the desktop, and here it is. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your support for the 2014 Youth Concerts. The theme this year is It's All About Style, presented by the Champaign-Urbana Symphony Orchestra. A brief bit of background on the symphony. The orchestra was founded in 1959, so we're really wrapping up celebrating our 55th anniversary year. The mission of the Champaign-Urbana Symphony is to enhance the quality of life in the community by providing symphonic music of the highest caliber through live performances and music education in the schools, the concert hall, and the community. The music education part of our mission is critical to us, and the youth concerts are probably, I would say, the cornerstone of our music education programs. They reach over 3,000 students each year, so your support is very valuable to us in a direct connection to our mission. The CUSO is designated officially as the professional orchestra in residence at the Krannert Center for the Performing Arts. However, the CUSO receives no funding from the University of Illinois or from the Krannert Center. The youth concerts were originally known as the Kinder Concerts and Young People's Concerts, and they were first performed in 1964. So this is now a 50-plus year tradition that you are supporting, and the concerts are performed by a full symphony orchestra. You can see in that image the scope of those performances, a house packed full of very enthusiastic elementary school students and a stage packed with musicians. In 2014, the CUSO presented 3 performances. That's an increase from 2 the year before, and we were pleased to be able to do that this year. The theme of the concerts was It's All About Style, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that program in a moment. The program was designed, conducted, and narrated by music director and conductor Stephen Altop, and television news personality Paul Davis welcomed students to each performance. Concerts were performed at 9:30 and 11:15 on April 1st, and at 9:30 a.m. on April 2nd. Over 3,200 students attended. That photo of that line of buses is from our previous board president, and I think that the sight of all those yellow buses was his favorite thing every year, and he always made a point of saying that and making sure to get a picture each year. Last season, 2013-14, was the inaugural season for Stephen Altop, and it was really exciting for him to be able to program and conduct their performances and incorporate a newly interactive focus into the program. The pieces heard were Matthew Naughton's Birthday Variations, a set of, I believe, 8 variations on, of course, the tune Happy Birthday, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, and then the very famous second movement of Beethoven's Seventh Symphony. I'll also tell you a little bit more about those musical style signs on the chairs. The interactive demonstrations were led by Stephen and a core part of the program. One of them was that he taught students about the idea of an ostinato rhythm, a recurring rhythmic pattern, by asking them to clap what they were going to hear throughout the second movement of the Beethoven. And he also was going to ask them to identify musical styles. The Happy Birthday Variations presented the tune Happy Birthday, as Stephen put it, in a variety of musical costumes: Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic, impressionistic, ragtime, Latin American, and rock. So throughout the program, the piece, which is written in chronological order, presents the Renaissance variation first, then the Baroque, then the classical. But Stephen made sure to play them out of order and have students guess through their applause what was being played, and he used those signs to help that demonstration. And they were very well prepared for it, in part because he had provided some really great examples of those styles for students to look at in the educator's guide, some examples they could find on YouTube, and they really seemed very ready for it. Interestingly, I'll go back to that slide briefly, a lot of the students really vocally and loudly preferred the rock variation, and that was the one that they almost unanimously clapped for as their favorites. But we got a lot of thank you letters, and a great many of them would say things like, my favorite was impressionistic or classical or romantic or anything else. So it was nice to see students connecting with all of the genres that we played that morning, or those 2 mornings. We had a full roster of musicians, as you can see from this list. Seeing and hearing all the instruments of the orchestra is something that teachers tell us every year is a highlight for their students. The list of participating schools is long. It includes home schools, private schools, and public schools throughout Champaign County and further, to be sure. So we're thrilled to be able to serve all these students each year. And for each concert, participating teachers are provided with an educator's guide and audio recordings of all the works the orchestra will perform. This year, students were also provided with links to all those style examples as well, so that they could be ready to hear the interactive demonstrations from Stephen. The educator's guide also includes short biographies of the composers, introductions to the pieces that the students will hear, and information about the concert experience. Also included are descriptions of the instrument families, listening guides, and worksheets and activity pages. This is really part of an effort to make sure that students connect with this material, and it's important to their and so that it can be integrated into, hopefully, their lifelong learning and not just a morning where they're not at school and get to go hear a concert. And the guide is a big part of how we want to make sure that that's an integrative experience. The youth concerts, we truly believe, are an outstanding opportunity for young people to experience the power and beauty of a symphony orchestra performance in a world-class performance space. And for so many of the students, this is the only time and place that they'll experience a live classical concert. I mentioned this last year, but it's worth mentioning again. I grew up in a metro area, a large one in St. Louis, and I grew up playing an instrument, but my first concert hall experience that I remember was a similar youth performance in St. Louis. I believe that these concerts are really important for students, and we all share that belief at the CUSO. Certainly, they offer a chance for musicians to engage new and excited audiences. This year, I ended up playing in the concerts, a violin player as well, and just like every other year in the past that I've played, it's absolutely delightful to hear how excited and to feel the palpable enthusiasm of those students each morning. They are truly excited to be there. These performances do truly enrich the lives of the residents and visitors of Urbana who attend, and that's our flutist, Amanda Pond. Community support is essential, as these are a fairly large-scale project. The CUSO is a professional orchestra, and all musicians are paid for their services. The budget for the 2014 youth concerts was just over $22,000, and all funds received from the city of Urbana supported local performers. Other community partners are also essential to the youth concerts. And what this list shows us, it encourages us by showing how many organizations in the community view these as a worthwhile enterprise and something worthy of their time and support. And of course, I want to extend a special thank you to you, the Public Arts Commission, for your generous support. And with that, I'll ask if there are any questions.
Any questions or comments? I think just congratulations on having such a wonderful program.
And please continue it.
Yes.
Thank you. We will. We are very grateful for your support, and soon I'll be doing a final report on a really great series of concerts this year that you so generously helped us fund. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, our next grant presentation will be from Donnie Pavlik.
All right. So I've been working on developing the video game Rhizome of Ixil, and I'm just going to describe a little bit about what the game is and then talk about the launch that was sponsored by the Urbana Arts Grant, as well as where it's going, hopefully. Let's see here. So one of the key things that got me started building this game was the genocide trial of the former dictator of Guatemala, Efrain Rios Montt. And looking at the images that were coming up that were happening during this trial was very striking as well. And thinking about these, the dynamics of what was happening in the court kind of inspired me to start to develop this video game. So right here is a couple of the first menus that I developed for the game. And initially, my plan was to show the power dynamics that were happening in relationship to I guess in the whole system of the court, as well as the politics that were happening outside of the courtroom. One of the key features of the game became this Rhizome memory ring, and I thought it was important to exemplify how the shared memories can be pulled together to create a recognition for the atrocities that happened in the Mayan community. And with the funds, I was able to continue to work on this ring and develop it so that it functioned more how I idealized it initially. And another feature that really played a big role was the color wheel and understanding the way that we perceive spaces. And this was projected down onto the memory ring. This was also a key component, which is the Mayan textiles, which is so much a part of the identity of the Mayan people. And I thought that it would be really interesting to wrap them around these orbs that end up floating within the game. And as I continued to develop the game, as I continued to develop the game, the orbs became really crucial in understanding this, maybe not to be highlighting the power dynamics, but rather really understanding the voice of the Mayans and understanding the struggle for recognition. And here I have a video, which like others is not loading. But this is essentially how the game got formatted then for the launch, which happened. And the Urbana Arts Grant sponsored the launch, as well as Granito, Cara Memoria, Cuenta, CU Immigration Forum, and the Independent Media Center. The launch took place on July 16th at the IMC, and there was about 25 participants, and this acted as a play testing of the game, as well as a way to screen this film, Granito, How to Nail a Dictator, and facilitate a small discussion. Here's a screenshot of the game. I'm not going to have the game played today because it's a little bit long for that. However, I do have the intro video, which I'd like to share with you. Is there volume?
It looked like it was off.
Down at the bottom right, there it is.
Look, hit play on the video.
It's on your YouTube controls.
Yeah, the YouTube.
down
Oh, I
there
see
it
what
is.
you're saying.
There it goes.
Jab hab kushlaho amaya. Ichilo aputbo tihi umeno umamaa. Matap uchima nek humpel yahil. Humpel moyal akawich uhopsa utupsa uinikil etel ubutzil tzon. Yuklalu butzil atzonada tse kilik ma hobo. Takleb kin yanilo amayaha. Tano toyo silkumbulu yol. Ushok unukcheili. Chumbi tima chan yosilil. Yalam utanil unukcheili. Kushulto ukan uwi. Nekamehensila pato o muchlaho utsikbaltitesh uhektesh ti kawiyesh uyanil unukul.
So one other thing to know is that this game was created by myself, a programmer, a musician, and 4 translators up to this point. And that's pretty much it. Are there any questions?
Questions? Comments? Go ahead.
Will it be in another language at some point?
Yeah, it is in currently 4 languages.
Which are?
English, Spanish, Maya Mopan, and Quechua.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
And you just took this down south, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, that's where I was able to get additional 2 languages, was in Guatemala.
Okay. Anyone else?
Has there been a response from the people that have played it and comments? Did you get good feedback from the people that tried it out?
Yeah, I
for
had
your
it
test audience?
play tested in Guatemala as well, not through a launch, but more individually, one-on-one. And I got feedback in that they respected my position as the artist as well as the game, and they're really kind of struck by a foreigner coming in and wanting to comment on these atrocities, and that kind of resonated within them as well.
And just one comment from my colleagues here. One of the things I've learned about from this process was that we actually have a small community in town of exiled people from this atrocity, which is really amazing to learn.
Yeah, there's a community specifically from Huahuatenango that came in the 1980s and have since had children. And
do you have any further plans to disseminate the game, or?
yeah, right now I'm working with the site Granito Cara Memoria Cuenta, and we're looking at putting it on their website. They're trying to reach out to a young population in the United States and in Guatemala, and this is kind of another way to facilitate that conversation.
Right. Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Danny.
luck with your project.
Okay, our next grant presentation will be for the Iliac Music Festival.
My second time here in as many days. We were here yesterday. Our company also does Pygmalion Festival, so I've been working with Brandon and the city council to work on that. But yeah, I don't have a presentation or anything, but I would like to just start by saying thank you for the generous grant last year. It really helped us get the festival off the ground. Last year, so it feels like forever ago now, was May 10th, 2014. so our company also does Pygmalion Festival, and the idea that we wanted to bring an event solely into downtown Urbana that kind of reflected everything that we liked so much about living here and doing, festivals here. So the idea to have Iliac Spring Festival came about. Seth Fine, who's the festival producer, is from Urbana, and he has lived here his whole life. And we kind of piggybacked on the idea that the first piece of electronic music, electric computer music, was created here. So that's where the name originated from. So the idea was to put something smack dab in the middle of downtown Urbana and work with the people that we like working with for Pygmalion Festival and other events that we do around town in order to make that possible. So working with the city of Urbana and working with Common Ground, working with County Plaza and Crane Alley, as well as support from the Urbana Public Arts Council, was culled together to make that financially viable. So it was a street festival that took place. We had a couple touring bands, and we coupled that with 6 or 7 local bands in order to really reflect kind of the aesthetic and cool music that exists here. We try to do that every year with Pygmalion Festival, and doing that with Iliac was just on a smaller scale. We've tried to do, in the past with Pygmalion, we've done outdoor shows in downtown Urbana, and it's pretty cost prohibitive, and the idea that we want to put together a stage in order to produce a 4-hour rock concert. So with this idea that we wanted to do Iliac, we wanted to start something that was in the spring. So we called it, Iliac Spring Festival, in order to start something that could hopefully continue into the future. So overall the show was a great success. It was a free concert. It took place right in downtown Urbana, in between Main and Race, Race and Broadway on Main. And just one stage, and it was a free show, so it was family friendly. It was really nice. The weather was amazing. It was about 80 degrees, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. So in that regard, it was a huge success. People on the street pretty much the whole day and into the night, have food trucks, that sort of thing. Local businesses involved, whether it's Flying Machine Coffee, serving iced coffee on the street, or Common Ground, doing their thing with informing people on how they should probably eat and how they should probably shop, as we found that a lot of people need help with that, myself included. So in all of those things, the event was extremely successful. And with the help of the public arts grant, we were able to help facilitate that. With all that said, the reality of continuing to do Iliac was a hard one for us to try to put together in the second year. So this year we're not going to be doing Iliac, as I say that, and we're a month away from when it would probably be happening. Considering we're doing some other things within the realm of our company, and we're very small, we're doing a tech conference, and we're hoping to, we're definitely going to bring that to downtown Urbana in September. With that said, Iliac isn't necessarily hit a halt as far as being possible in the future. We think the infrastructure is there. Just financially, it's pretty difficult to produce a show in downtown Urbana, and we want to make it free and family friendly, and doing that is kind of difficult sometimes. I will comment on we were met with some hostility with the downtown, some of the businesses. I'm not going to name names. They were on the north side of the street. I think you all know well enough. You can kind of piece that together. So that wasn't, we didn't like feeling that way. But from the vast majority of people that we worked with, they were over the moon excited in order to have something in downtown Urbana that they can, bring their kids out to, but also at night have a beer and watch a cool show. So in that regard, we hope to do Iliac in the future. Due to the size of our staff and the financial nature of putting that on, it's kind of difficult. So with that said, we enjoyed doing Iliac. It was a lot of fun. As event producers, you always want to walk away from an event and say, hey, that was really awesome, that was a great time, people were having a great time, the weather was amazing. We always have to cross our fingers when it comes to praying for sunshine and no rain. So with all that said, the idea of Iliac is still in the back of our minds, and just how it can be realized in the future is what we're looking for. But we were super appreciative of the public arts grant, because we want to bring art to the forefront, and that's what we try to do with our other events. Prop up local artists in a music sense and have them perform in front of people in a really cool part of town that we still are always looking to produce events in. So with that said, I'm not sure if anyone has any questions about the event
Okay.
that I can answer. Yeah.
I
Anyone?
like the name Iliac. I think that's so cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I remember years ago when I was here.
Me too.
But just as a Urbana person, I don't care who they were on the north side, but I'm wondering what the complaints were that could be fixed so that we continue to have that in downtown.
Sure. We didn't necessarily see eye to eye with some of their complaints. They were mostly with parking and with sound. That said, there were thousands of people in the street that day. I know a couple of the particular businesses that weren't necessarily crazy about it, had largely increased traffic. So bringing people to downtown Urbana on a Saturday afternoon, a couple of car spaces isn't going to kill you when it comes to the idea that there are hundreds and hundreds of people on the street throughout the day. If anything, we felt that it was an opportunity to showcase those businesses that people might not know about. They might venture downtown to go to the show because they see it's a free event, and they say, "Hey, this is here. I'm going to come back." So we love downtown Urbana, and we're looking for opportunities to always do stuff. But those are mostly the complaints.
So I think what we need to do then is tell these people the advantages of having this.
Sure.
I should comment in my experience working at Art Coop, we've actually run into the same problems when there are events in Lincoln Square Mall, and even though it does seem counterintuitive, a lot of times when you have that large amount of people, it actually you have less customers coming to your store because people aren't there for that. And they might look in, but they're not really buying things. Like anytime there's a big event going on in the mall, we have less business. Yeah, I mean we've had events that like 2,000 people come through the mall, and we'll have like less than half of what we would normally do on a Saturday.
All right.
But with that said, there are ways of getting around that. So I think in situations like that, it should way in advance talk to the businesses and ask them to see what you can work with them, warn them. I mean that's just communication is the best thing. And I mean you've done your thing, but I think in the future when Urbana wants to do things like that, we should really get ahead of it and talk to the business about it and ask them what they think is the best solution to fixing those issues. Because it really does seem counterintuitive. Because every time in our experience we have people, they're always like, "Well, you'll get more business," and we're like, "Yeah, we thought that too." But it really is the opposite of that.
It's good perspective, and like I said,
Could I add something too?
Yeah.
Just for perspective, I serve on the UBA board as well, and the Sweet Corn also draws, mixed reviews. So it's not really specific to an event. And I think, Jason, you brought up a great point that there are a variety of opinions about street closures and these kinds of events, and it's not specific to Iliac.
Sure.
But so just want to make that clear.
That's good perspective for sure. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm very glad you decided to try it. I hope you'll have the event again sometime.
We hope
Thanks.
so. Thanks.
Okay, and our last grant presentation will be Cara Maurizi. I'm sorry, I'm Maurizi from King Elementary.
I'm not sure how to get out of here. If I can.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I need to get out of here. So. Isn't technology great?
how I did that.
Other way.
Here we go. Okay, let's try that again. Yay! All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kara Marisi, and I'm here representing our team at King Elementary School. We received an Arts in Schools grant for the 2013-2014 school year, and we continue to benefit from that today. So I'd like to share with you what we did. Our grant was meant to bring meaningful experiences to our students, tying in the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr., which our principal named Dream Day, using visual art, classroom materials, and music. This was also tied to the Preston Jackson sculpture that was dedicated in King Park. So here are some images of the sculpture, and we received some sketches as he was putting it together, so we were able to share with our students some of the images that were on the sculpture as we were teaching. So in my classroom, I showed these pictures as well as sketches from the artist as we talked about some of the important civil rights events that happened. This is a picture of all of the books, DVDs, and classroom materials that were purchased by our librarian with the grant. And those are housed in the library as well as the teacher's learning library and are available for any teacher to check out in the district. Here are some images of what our visual arts teacher put together. She had several different curriculums based on the age group of the students. The younger students worked on creating quilt squares using images from the civil rights era. And here they are at the beginning stages. And you can see them painting their squares. Ooh, I don't know what's happening here. Go back a second. Maybe I'm moving too fast. Let's see if maybe it'll load. Well, I'll just move on to the next one. I'll see what that was. It was some more images from the quilt. And then with the older students, with 5th grade, she worked on sculptures with them, tying into the Preston Jackson sculpture. So they studied form and shape and then put sculptures together. So here's one before it's been painted. In my classroom, which is music, we were able to purchase a classroom set of guitars with the grant money. So I purchased 20 guitars, and we also were able to bring in some guest artists to help us get started with our curriculum. So in the first image there, you can see Scott Schwartz and Martin Stromberg. Scott works at the University of Illinois in the Sousa archives and is a music historian. And they were already familiar with some of the students at King School because they do a Civil War project with 5th grade every year. So they really enjoy coming into the classroom. They taught several songs in the fall, including, oh goodness, we did Odinga, Odinga, we did We Shall Overcome, lots of civil rights music. And then in these images, this is taken from January during our unit where we taught them chords to go along with the songs. and they accompanied themselves during the performance. So here's one with me with leading the kids. And then we had another guest artist, Ryan Groff, who's a local musician, music producer, who also came in 2 different times and worked with the kids. So they were able to work with several different people and get different styles from each teacher. And then I just have a short little clip from our assembly. We had a final assembly on January, I think it was the 23rd of that year. We were lucky that we had school that day. We had had several snow days. And we had all of the current music students sang different songs from civil rights. And then 4th grade were kind of the stars of the assembly. They got to play 3 different songs, singing and playing guitar. And we ended with the entire gymnasium singing We Shall Overcome, accompanied by 4th graders on guitar. And it was a really powerful, wonderful event. So let me see if I can show you just 30 seconds of that. It will play for me. Oh, maybe not.
Again.
Well, I'll make sure. I think, did I send it to you, Pauline?
You did.
So at some point, I can make sure that they can see it.
Yeah, I will pass it along.
No
Thank you.
problem. So the wonderful thing is that these guitars are still available to us, and I was able to use them again this year. So there's a picture of me working with this year's current 4th grade class, doing some of the same lessons but learning different songs, different chords. And it's just really great to be able to continue to use the materials year after year. So this will really serve us very well for a long time. So any questions?
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I'd just like to comment. I attended the event with the late Greg Chu, who was a member of this commission, and it was really an amazing, very large-scale production that you did, and you were amazingly calm throughout it all. And if there was ever a woman who was an octopus, it was Maura.
Well, I appreciate that.
But
Thank you.
you had a great turnout too.
It
in
was.
spite
It
of the
was
weather.
wonderful. Lots of parents were there. It was
Yeah.
really great to have
Yeah.
the community.
That sounds like it was very successful.
It was. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're now going to have the monthly progress report.
Thank you. This is still showing up. Oops. I'm not used to this. Try it again.
Hi. I will start with by talking about the end of the Arts Grants program. So on March 27th, I invited the grant recipients along with jurors and members of the commission to attend an announcement celebration at Pizza M. It was quite well attended. We had about 45 people, and we highlighted the recipients from the last cycle and announced the recipients for this cycle. The current exhibition for Artists of the Corridor, it will end on May 1st, and it features costume design by students at Weill Elementary School. They did a costume or a fashion show here in February as well. And their works are also on view at the Urbana Free Library. And the next artist, the exhibition will start on May 4th, and it will feature Beth Darling. The March episode of Art Now featured Jorge Amaya, and this month's episode, John interviews Jerry Savage, and you can see the episodes online. Recently, we received an artwork donation by Matthew Woodward, who's a Chicago artist, and this is possible through A2 Create, which is a local group. They did a live drawing event at CoLab some time ago. And the mayor suggested that Matthew Woodward draw inspiration from the courthouse, but after touring the city, he decided to draw the Illinois Union. And I have the drawing in my office. It's 8 by 8, so we're working to frame it, and we'll put it up at the Civic Center. For marketing, we are still updating our social media accounts. Facebook now has 774 fans. Twitter has 1,383 followers, and Instagram has 39 followers. And we also completed the redesign for our e-newsletter, which now has 668 subscribers, so that's growing pretty significantly. We also recently finished the design for a sculpture brochure, which will be printed sometime this week, so it should go out around mid-April, so just in a few days. Lastly, on
can
Saturday...
Can I ask where those brochures will be available?
I'm sorry, what?
Where the brochures will be available?
Where? So the city building, and then I'll also put some at the free library and local hotels and whatnot. If you have any suggestions.
Could we also do them at the Art at the Market?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be.
You can bring some to Art Coop.
Okay,
We'll put
yeah,
them out.
we'll do. Thank you. And on Saturday, we had an event at the new park by the Boneyard Creek. It's called Urbana Celebrates the Boneyard. Before this event, we installed 30 street pole banners by local artists and local students. So these are on the street poles along Broadway between Water and University, as well as around the park around Race and Griggs. So 16 of them were by artists Beth Darling and Paula Schmiel. And then there are the winners of our call of entries titled Urbana Races Your Art. And the rest of the banners are by students from Leal, Wiley, Prairie, Thomas Paine, Yankee Ridge, and King, and UMS. And all of the works were acknowledged at our event on Saturday, which also had performances by members of the Community Center for the Arts and Jibla Kamara and his group. It has some art activities and food trucks, and we had a busker. It was a bubble guy who were loved by all the kids there. They were screaming and running. But at this point, I would actually like to invite Pat and Robin, who help a lot at the event, to maybe share a little bit about what you think of it and any suggestions.
Do you want us to come forward, or should we just do it from here?
You can do it from your seat.
Oh, okay. Robin, did you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank Pauline, because you did a great job of organizing it and getting it all to actually happen.
Right.
Appreciate that. The Bodacious String Band was great. I mean, they were fantastic. There was a big crowd, and they played very well. They were really good. So I think that was a good choice. The bubble guy, like you said, was just fantastic. The kids just loved it. I don't know if you guys, this is somebody who does really big bubbles like this. It was pretty amazing. As far as, I thought we were going to have musical buskers. I guess we didn't do that. I think that might have been a good idea, because I did notice as I was walking away from where the music was, there were fewer people. And I think if there had been some music, it might have, it led people to explore more of the park. I think we got some really good publicity in 40 North, both in having it in the brochure, and the Gazette also promoted it well, so I was very happy to see that. And the banners, I was a little disappointed, because if you're driving by, you don't really see them that well, but I do think that from the sidewalk, they do have more of an impact. So, yeah. Robin, you want to go ahead?
Well, I too wanted to start by thanking you for your enthusiasm and for your organization and your graciousness throughout the entire event. I'm sure it was pretty chilly in the morning, but it got nicer during the day.
It got really nice.
I feel that we had a lot of competition that weekend, and there's really nothing we can do about that. But for some reason, I envisioned it like that whole sidewalk lined with activities and things to do, because unfortunately, that space that goes down under the bridge is very hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed to do something to draw people in, and I thought, well, how do we create an atmosphere where more people want to be there?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking at all the river walks that I've gone through. I don't know if you've been to San Antonio and Indianapolis, and the most successful ones have a lot of things going on the perimeter. Like, I think San Antonio is the most popular one I've ever been to because it's got restaurants and shops and things. I know that's not possible. But I think for the festival, we could have had more vendors, more activities. We could have had maybe a farmer's market preview with food and drink tasting. We could have asked community-based people to come in, groups like the schools, churches, Girl and Boy Scouts to participate. Anything that of community interest could have had a booth there along all that space. And, you know, where to park. So if we could have said free parking in downtown Urbana Saturday, the whatever it was, something to draw more people in. Because I got there at 12:30, the speeches were going on, the music ended, and people left. It's like, hello, don't you want to do some art over here? You know. So we finally moved our activity down by the face painter and down where the bubble blowers could see us, and we gleaned some people that way. But I just feel like it's such a great space, and I got to talk to the artist and his whole intent about doing those, what I call crustaceans. I wish he could have talked. I wish there just would have been more offerings for the community to get them down under that bridge.
Well, I think one of the problems, though, with doing it on the Boneyard Day is that everybody's busy.
Oh, I know.
You know, I don't know whether maybe, you know, I think it was a good idea because there's already people downtown, but on the other hand, maybe that's not a good day because there are other things going on. You know, so we might want to think about what day we want to do the next one on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although another pro of having it during the Boneyard Arts Festival is that we got so much free publicity from Pony North.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
In an interview, Kelly rated us as one of her top 5 events going on that weekend.
Yeah.
And the maps definitely helped. They sent it out to everyone in their mailing list, I think. But it's true, we had a lot of competition, even just in downtown. There's so much going on. And most of our visitors just came for a few minutes and then left. But I'm glad to see that a lot of them got to explore the space a little bit more, even though most of the action's just going on the same specific spot. But one idea that I had with Brandon too is that next year, if we want to do something similar, we might consider having a shorter event. So maybe just 2 hours instead of 5 hours, but have it more condensed. So the art activities happening at the same time. So there are more things to explore.
Yeah. Well, I think too, because I came at the tail end of it, and I know with the Bodacious group, partly you had that large group because you had all the parents of the children, and then as soon as they're done playing, they go off to lunch or wherever to their next venue. But there was construction still going on with the parking lot across the street behind the theater, but there is that platform behind the theater, which could generate some more activity in the future. And I think maybe it's just, you know, it was a first-time learning experience, learning how to use the space and what's possible to use. But you won't have some of those obstacles next year that you had this year with the taping off of with the parking lot still
Well, the
drying.
landscaping will be better by then too.
So, but I had a visitor who came in from New York, and she was just totally impressed. And I was telling her about the crustaceans and the design, and she just couldn't believe that so much was going on in this community. She was very impressed. Good. So I was very proud of our city.
Good. I forgot to mention we also tried to count the visitors, and we got to 321 visitors, although we only counted from one side of the park, from Race and Griggs, and I know a lot of people came from the other side too. So I would estimate at least 450.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure. Okay. Anybody have any announcements they want to make? Okay. Would somebody like to move for adjournment? We're adjourned.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.